Okay, wonderful. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Legacy Wealth Advisors Health and Wellness webinar entitled The Greatest Wealth is Health. We're happy that you all could join us. Want to do a few things first, just to let you know, we do have a Q&A, a question and answer area where you can ask questions and interact throughout the presentations. So if you want to access that, and then we'll answer them as we can. We may even answer them during the webinar, so you may see just kind of a delay on that. But I think Rachel is probably more interactive with the Q&A than I am, so I probably will just go through and talk, and then we can answer questions. We'll also allow for some time at the end for any additional questions and answers. So just know that you'll have that opportunity as well. But we do want to encourage you to ask along the way. So with that, let me get started here on, first of all, introductions. So let's start with that. Okay. Let's see. Sorry about that. Lost my slide presentation here. Why it didn't. Huh. I don't know if it's because I did this. I'm beginning. Why it's not allowing me to switch through. So bear with me a second. Sorry about that. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead with my presentation at least and go through the slides, and then Rachel will be able to share her slides. I think I'm just having an issue here with mine, so I apologize for that. But I'll start with our introductions here and who we are. I'm Jennifer Sokola. I'm one of the CFPs on staff here with Fernando's team and financial advisor. And really my passion, I wanted to do this and be a part of it because health and fitness is my passion, along with finances. So I think it's important there. Today we found an opportunity and a way that we can incorporate both strong physical and mental fitness with, how it drives healthy financial fitness. So I'm excited to share a little bit of that and share a little bit of myself. I think the first obvious thing here is, what do the two have in common? You want to achieve good health and wellness to be able to enjoy the wealth that you've accumulated, right, in your life. And you want to be able to live that life long enough to see the benefits of all the money that you've been saving up for all these years. You want to, Fernando talks about this quite often, the enjoyment of giving with a warm hand, giving while you're living. We have many clients that like to, help with their children and grandchildren with college tuition, with purchasing homes, with taking big family trips together. I mean, there's so many wonderful benefits. And also being able to see how your gifts can benefit even charitable organizations while you're living, being able to give money to an organization and see what they're able to do with it. One of the things that you can consider too, when you reach the age of required minimum distributions, is qualified charitable distributions, being able to give to organizations as well, using, a portion of that or all of it to be able to help organizations. So for me, what is the whole importance of, behind having good fitness, and the health level and the mental level and on the physical level? And that's good discipline, being able to, eat healthy regularly, exercise regularly, and have accountability partners in all areas. Set up goals for yourself that you can strive for on a monthly basis. I had a client I worked with who, she was in her 30s, and her big thing was every month she put money into a fund where she called it her around the world fund. She's like, I'm going to travel around the world, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So every month she made contributions in there. You can set annual goals too for yourself, whether it be for health or finance, 5-year or 10-year goals. Maybe you're looking to buy a second home or a lake home or something like that. So those are kind of goals that you can set for yourself as well. But I do think the cool thing is you can do physical and financial pairing when you have your goals together. I think my husband, he is really wanting to take a trip to Mallorca and to Spain to do a cycling. He's a cyclist and he wants to do that. So with that, obviously would come physical training, right? He would need to be in shape to do that, but also be able to, save the money to do a trip like that, be able to set that aside. And it does take 21 days to create a habit. I think that's why most of us find that New Year's resolutions are probably gone and done by late January. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is just being able to be the importance of flexibility and variety when you're looking at your goals. You want to be able to be flexible in terms of setting goals for yourself, like not doing the same thing over and over, because that is what tends to be, for instance, if you have a goal to work out for 30 days, you say, I'm going to work out every day for 30 days. And on day 29, you would fail on that goal. I wouldn't give up. Finish it out on day 30, keep going with it. I think that's important. I think also just having a variety of ways to obtain goals, whether it's exercise. It doesn't have to be the same exercise every day. I think sometimes that's where people get in this rut. I'm going to run every day. Well, obviously that can be difficult too. So, but when I talk about goals, I think most importantly is when you achieve those goals, reward yourself with experiences. Be able to, share memories and active vacation trips, with your family, spa days, sporting events, tickets, things like that. I feel like when I was in college, I decided I was going to work all summer and save up for a designer purse, which I believe right now is probably sitting in the bottom of my daughter's closet. And you want to do things that you have experiences with your family and things that you'll remember, things that you can hold on to, memories like that. And I do think, a healthy drive to reach those goals. Mental wellness is so incredibly important. I mean, to have that clarity of mind when you're tired, when you're fatigued, those are when you make bad decisions for yourself financially. You'll see people spending money that they shouldn't be, or not setting goals for themselves financially with budgets. It's easy to really get yourself out of a rut with that. So I think it's important, you can listen to podcasts or books, have that time dedicated for reflection, devotion, quiet time, and clarity of mind. I think that's really important. And when I just share about myself really quick, just my personal experience. So back in 2014, I was working full time. I was at that time gotten back into the workforce and doing both working a couple jobs, but 40 hours a week. And I could tell that I just wasn't giving a priority for myself. And I was sitting at a women's Christian conference, wonderful lady who just really encouraged moms to take that time for themselves too. And at almost that moment, my colleague from work had sent me a photo of us. It was from a work dinner, all of us together. And I looked at the photo and I saw someone who was tired, exhausted, unhappy, just at a place where I just was not physically fit. And so I made this a priority. I said, next week, I'm going to start working out 5 days a week before work. So that meant getting up early, 5:30. And I was able to achieve that for at least 3 years. I mean, I didn't miss 5 days. I kept to it. Like I said, the flexibility of being able to pick different workouts and do things. Even when we moved in July of 2021, I wasn't able to work out from May through July consistently. And as soon as we got here to Arizona, I was able to reset and be flexible. Now I have to work out after work. Not ideal, but I kept to some rules for myself and not drinking or eating after 7, except for water, and really just cutting back on caffeine and drinking black coffee. So just a little bit on my experience for myself. But I think too, as I summarize or talk a little bit about this, just be good in terms of, be good models for your children. What you do is what they see. If you enjoy it, they'll enjoy it. Investments too, like, starting savings programs with the kids and getting them excited and interested in investments. Same with, I think it's important with working out, having that it be something that, you focus on the heart healthy side of it and not so much the body image side of it. I think that's what's important. And then your family and your kids will really appreciate and want to do more of that with you. And and even pick it up for themselves. I mean, my daughters both love to run now, and my youngest has recently ran a half marathon and was excited to train for that. So, I just think those are important things too, as well. So as I look at the prioritizing, really my final thing to summarize is make health and financial wellness a priority for you. And if you do, it'll be central to your family and everything about it. And if needed, find accountability partners, a friend, a spouse, financial advisors. We're here to help you. That's why we'd love to meet with you. We want to know your goals and help you to achieve those goals. I think financial, physical, mental fitness are all very similar. They require the discipline, the strength, the fortitude to get through those grinding and challenging times, and then have the flexibility and variety that will likely help you to achieve and reach those financial and physical goals. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and send it over to Rachel here and let her go ahead and share her knowledge with us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And that segues straight into what I'm going to talk about with you guys, which is reclaiming your health. So I love what Jen shared, and I love that across her presentation of the greatest wealth is your health. I think, it's definitely a lot of people get too focused and caught up in work, money, and then forget that, wait a minute, I can't actually enjoy this money or this life if I don't have the health to do it. So I hope today I can give you guys at least one idea to, help you get inspired, help you find, a way through if you are having a hard time finding your peak health and fitness. So I'd first love just to make sure that the Q&A is working. If you guys can go ahead and pop in the Q&A. I know it's a Q&A, it's not a chat, but if you can just, it's, even though it's not a question, if you can just put where you're from. I just would love to see kind of both. I want to see where you're from, but I also want to just, show you where the Q&A is so you know where it's at, so that throughout my talk, if you do have a question, you know where to go, and then also see that you know how to use it and that it's working. So I'd love to see, oh, here they come. Fantastic. Okay, everyone's okay. We got Illinois, Chicago, Washington by Seattle. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to be in Chicago actually later this year doing a presentation there. So very cool. Love Chicago. Okay, and the rest of you, Colorado. Okay, great. So we are working. You guys know where the Q&A is. You know where to find me. And so as I'm presenting, please don't be shy. If you do have a question, that's our best way to interact. I love interacting while I'm presenting. And, we all had to I'm used to presenting in person and having people in front of me that can actually talk to me. And so with, our new way of doing things over the last couple of years, I still want to have that interaction. So please don't be shy, jump in the chat, ask questions, let's connect, let's, get to know each other throughout this presentation. So we're going to talk about one habit at a time. We're going to get this, I really want to make this simple for you guys. I want it to be easy. I think too many people make health and fitness complicated. It's so easy to make complicated because there's so much out there. There's so much information out there. So my goal today is really to make it simple and easy for you. When we're done, I would love to see you, or even throughout, if you guys see, maybe if you take a screenshot of one of my slides or something that inspires you, please tag me. I'd love to, connect with you on social media. Definitely love to continue the conversation and get to know you even more. So you have my social media there. RachelCosgrove.co is my own personal, and then my personal brand. And then Results Fitness SCV is our gym, which is located in Southern California. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. So let's ask a question here. Thinking back, I think we all know what to do, right? Like I think, most of us know, okay, choosing the piece of fruit over the donut is the best choice, right? But why do we stop doing the things that make us feel so good? Why would we grab the donut, right? Why do we look for that instant gratification? And I think it's something to think about is, why do we stop doing the things that make us feel so good? Because I can give you, people always ask, can I get a meal plan? And, I can give you this perfect meal plan and you can try to follow it, but there's going to be a point where you're not going to follow it. And you're going to be like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go eat the donut, right? So why is that? Why do we have that? And let's start to dive deep into figuring that out. This is why we're emotional creatures. Okay. When our emotions are high, we can't think logically. And that's part of like the reason why, we can be very logical and decide we're going to follow this very clear meal plan that I have laid out for you as your coach, and you're going to step by step follow the meal plan. But then as soon as stress gets high, you have a really hard day, maybe at work or with the kids, you're getting pulled in every direction, and our emotions start to get high. And this is why most of us, maybe we even start the day pretty healthy. We eat a good breakfast, we maybe get our workout in, and then as the day goes on, things can start to build up and our emotions can get high. And that's when it's hard to continue to think logically. So when emotions are high, intelligence is low. Just keep that in mind, okay? You're not the problem. It's not you it's not you not having the willpower, or you being a failure. I think, it's so many people beat themselves up when they haven't been successful. And so I want to reassure you that it's not you. It's a problem with your environment or the situation. And so today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about setting yourself up for success with an environment that you can be successful in, the easiest way you can be successful. We have to remove the temptations and put strategies in place when we're thinking logically that will help to outsmart our emotional side. So that way, when we are emotional, because guaranteed we are going to have those emotional moments, right? We're all going to have, I deserve the glass of wine, right? We have those moments. How can we make sure we set ourselves up to reframe, how we're thinking, and reframe our environment to set ourselves up for success? So this actually comes from a book called From the Happiness Hypothesis, by Jonathan Haidt. He talks about behavior change, and he uses the analogy of an elephant and a rider. And so this is just a visual for you, since most people are visual people. So thinking about, how, when we're thinking about making change, we want to think about the rider being the logical side of our brain, right? So there's two sides of our brain. We're talking about the emotional and the logical. And so getting clear directions and reducing that mental paralysis. The rider knows where we're going. And then we have the elephant, The elephant side of our brain is our emotional side of our brain. And many times we may have this very clear direction that our rider in our mind is telling us, you are going to go in this direction. We're going to go on this path. We're going to work out. We're going to eat this meal plan. We're going to drink our water. We're going to get some sleep. We're going to do everything right. And then all of a sudden our elephant is like, yeah, but let's go ahead and turn on Netflix and lie down on the couch and, forget that walk you were going to go for, right? And your elephant has to find that emotional connection in order to stay motivated. How can we keep our emotions connected to moving forward in the right direction? And then we need to shape the path, reduce the obstacles, tweak the environment, and make the journey go downhill. So how can we make it so that our big old elephant, who is motivated by emotions and who wants to feel a certain way and maybe would be pulled to get instant emotions, how can we make that journey downhill for him so that so that our mind it will be easier for us to take the right next step? It's a very slippery slope. And I think, many of us have experienced it over time. You're on the right path, your rider, you're in your mind, your logical brain is steering your elephant down the right path, and you're headed down. But then all of a sudden, maybe we start eating a little bit of processed food, right? It's easy. It's something we can grab easy. Maybe we stop exercising. I'll just miss today. I'll start again on Monday, right? It's a busy week. I'll get to it next week. Maybe we start to indulge in alcohol. I need to just decompress, just have a drink. I need to, relieve some stress, right? Poor sleep. Sleep is huge. If we're not getting enough sleep, that's going to really start to affect everything else in our lives. And so, one thing after another, as we start to stack these little things that don't seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like a big deal to miss my workout today. It doesn't seem like a big deal to have, a glass of wine tonight. It doesn't seem like a big deal to not go to bed early and stay up and watch my favorite TV shows. And then we add stress as another, on top of that stack. And one thing at a time, this over time is going to equal us gaining fat, us feeling slower, moving slower, feeling weaker, having more pain. We're going to have more inflammation. And we're going to feel tired. And so, we don't think about it, but these little actions that we're taking over time, stacking on top of each other, are starting to equal where we're going to end up. And it's easy to just want to give up because sometimes it's like, it's been this over years, right? And all of a sudden you're like, how did I get here? How do I feel the way that I feel right now? Like, I love, Jen sharing her story about, you see the picture and you're like, what happened? Like, who is this person and why, how did this happen? I know this isn't who I am. This isn't what I want, what I want to be. And so maybe you feel like you're stuck in a rut. Anybody feeling stuck in a rut? Go ahead and jump in the Q&A. Let me know. Yes, I'm stuck in a rut. I need help. I'm so glad you're talking about this. Let me know. I want to hear from you guys. Anybody feeling like you're ready for a change? Anybody looking for an answer? Maybe you've been starting something new. Maybe you've been trying to find the right program, what's going to work for you, and you're ready for a change. Or anybody feel like you're just spinning your wheels? Maybe you are already, trying to do different things and you're just like in this wheel of, you're just spinning, right? So Connie says, looking for a change out of my rut. Fantastic, Connie. I think that, step one is realizing I'm ready to get out of my rut. I'm ready to get out of this. Well, a little bit about me before I get too far into my talk. I have written a couple books. So I've written, this is my very first book, The Female Body Breakthrough. And it, I tell my entire story. And so if you guys decide you want to learn more about me and more about my approach, all of my philosophies of how I've worked with primarily women, but we also work with men at Results Fitness to help them to make a breakthrough. And so this was my first book. Then I wrote Drop Two Sizes, and I actually am currently writing my next book, which will be coming out in 2024, and it's called Age Strong. So keep an eye out for that. I've been a coach for over 25 years. We've actually had our gym for 23 years. And so I've been doing this a really long time, and I've worked with a lot of people, and I've really, I've seen and learned from every single client that I've worked with. And so I work with real people. I don't work with celebrities. I work with people with jobs and kids and trying to balance it all and, helping them to figure out what works. My husband and I own our gym together. We're co-owners of Results Fitness. And actually now we do a lot of business coaching for other gym owners and personal trainers. So that's why I love, connecting the financial side of, what we do with our health, because we also are helping a lot of our personal trainers, health and fitness people who have maybe the health figured out, but they don't have the financial side figured out. So that's my usual audience. So it's the opposite. And then I've been a consultant for Nike, Women's Health, different magazines, and Men's Health magazine, and throughout. And I present quite a bit more now. They're conferences are coming back, which I'm excited about. So I'm actually headed to Orlando this weekend to do a conference. So that's just a little bit about me. So just to share a little bit about my background. Now, even more about me, to get personal with you guys. I've been there. It's like over my lifetime, this has been part of who I am. I'm a personal trainer. As our business was getting built and I started to become more sedentary, I started to work behind my desk more. I started to travel more. I had the slippery slope happen to me. I, knew what to do. I'm teaching other people what to do. This is, my expertise, and I still had it happen to me. And it was literally like slowly, I would gain 2 to 3 pounds a year. And it was, I'd go to the doctor every year and get my physical. And I'm like, my weight is like creeping up. Must be muscle, right? Like I'm building muscle. That's what it is, So then we do this in-body scan where we test what our body is made up of and see exactly what it is. And lo and behold, I had actually gained, I was up to, 30.7% body fat, which is what you'll see. So you guys can see the steady, the top little corner is where I got up to. So 179.5, about 30.7% body fat. And so then I started to go, okay, I need to make a change. And I know what to do, but I need to start to make these changes. And so I've absolutely been there. I know how it is. And so you guys can see over time, I started to make changes. And this is what this graph is showing you is, it's not about making a quick fix. It's not about making I'm going to drop 10 pounds by next week, because that's never going to last long term. You can grit out and do a really hard diet and cut all your carbs and go into ketosis and, do all that crazy stuff that people like to do and drop the 10 pounds. But guess what? You're not going to build any habits. You're not going to set yourself up for sustainable long-term health and fitness. So it's really about over time, getting those habits in place. Now, just to give you guys an idea, if you've never really thought about, if you've only looked at your weight, I do encourage you to start to learn more about body composition and what's my body made up of, strength training is one of the #1 things you do want to include as part of your health and fitness routine. So building muscle is a good thing. And especially as we age, building muscle is going to help us to keep our metabolism going. It's going to help us to stay strong and able to do the things we want to do. And so starting to look at what is my body made up of, rather than just what do I weigh? So if you've been caught up on, a number on the scale, shift your focus and start to think about what is my body fat percentage? Okay. So a little bit about my story as I started to realize this is my home gym. Over the pandemic, I had never worked out in my home gym. We had it set up because we had gym equipment from the gym that we owned. But when our gym got shut down and everything got shut down, I was like, well, I guess this is an opportunity to use my home gym. And so I, went to start working out in my home gym. And I'm going to tell you guys, it wasn't for me. Working in a home gym didn't work for me. So I started to connect to our online services that we have. We have remote services that I started to connect and then as we started to get back with my training buddies, because guess what? I need accountability. Just like every single person, I might be a coach, I might be motivated, but I still needed accountability. Okay. I do best when I have a plan to uphold myself to. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how each of us are motivated differently. And I know for me, I need external accountability, and I do best with a plan to uphold myself to. And we're going to talk about what you need to really figure that out, because that's important to figure that out. And it's okay if you need accountability. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I can do it on my own and I don't need to have a coach, or I don't need to have accountability. Well, that's pretty rare. Most people do need external accountability, and that's a good thing to have. So can you imagine starting to feel energized, confident, and happy? Is that where we want to go? We want to what feeling? How do we want to feel? If you guys want to pop in the chat and just let me know. So Mark Miller had a question. What's the best way to find your body fat percentage? So we use a machine called an InBody, which different gyms do have. And so if you go on, if you Google InBody, you can probably find some place in your area that has one of those machines, and they usually will charge you a fee to use the machine. It's the easiest way we've found. There are other ways. Like the best is to do hydrostatic weighing, which is where you weigh yourself underwater and it's a whole thing, or like the bod pod. The problem with those is that it's hard to do them often, and it's hard to, it's like a whole thing. It's like maybe once a year, you can get access to that, where I'd rather you find something that you can do on a regular basis that you can check in, see what your progress is, and make sure that you are heading in the right direction. So I would go ahead and Google InBody and see if there's a place in your area that has that. It's a really accurate machine that can tell you what your body composition is. So perfect. Okay, so throughout this talk, here's where we're going. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about getting some inspiring goals, because the more inspiring your goals are, the more likely you will be to stick to your plan. Okay, we're going to talk about what motivation type you are. So really figuring out for you specifically what works to motivate you. And then we're going to talk about your actions now versus the actions we're moving towards. So if we have these goals in place, what actions do we need to take to get there? And are they different from what actions we're actually taking right now, right? And then we're going to learn how to be a scientist. And I think this is where we start to let go of the emotions, right? And start to get scientific about our progress and start to track our data and start to figure out how do I actually, get myself to move forward as the, in a logical way that's going to work and not get caught up in the emotions of it. And then thinking about who you spend your time with. I know Jen mentioned this, and I talked a little bit about the accountability and really figuring out, I think it's so important to find supportive people that you can connect with and that can help you to stay on the path that you want to stay on. And then I'm going to give you guys a free gift to give you some tools as we finish up today. And then I will save some time for Q&A. But please, as we go through, I love that you guys are talking to me in the chat, because that definitely helps me out. We got another comment here. I have a Conair scale that tells me this info. It's not fancy, but it is consistent metric. I also go to a metabolic doctor who has that fancy equipment. Perfect. Yeah. And that's the key is just the idea being, don't just use your scale. Even if you use your clothing, I like that. So my second book is called Drop 2 Sizes. And that's the whole premise of that book is don't look at the scale. Instead, let's get out, a pair of jeans or something that you want to fit into. And let's look at how our body's changing, because building muscle and losing fat is not going to show up on a scale. So, so that's perfect if you have a scale that you trust, or a body fat, scale. There are body fat scales out there that you can, get for your home. And the key with those is do them at the same time of day. Make sure you're hydrated. So, if you did drink alcohol the night before, that will skew the results. So just make sure your body's in the same state each time you do it, and that will give you a pretty accurate result of what your progress is. So let's talk first about setting some inspiring goals. Okay, what if I can do it? Okay, I think a lot of times you guys don't actually realize what you're capable of. And I love to see clients accomplish goals that they never thought they could do. And, I think most people, have no concept of what you could actually accomplish if you set your mind to it. So I want you to think of, instead of starting to set a goal for your body that's purely a weight, like maybe up till now you've been like, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to weigh what I weighed in high school, or I want to, whatever, this weight, this like outcome is. Instead, I want you to think about, what do I want to be able to do with my body? So I love this quote, your body is an instrument, not an ornament. So it's not about what our body looks like or about how much we weigh. I want you to, as you're setting your goals for yourself, I want you to shift and start to think about, if I looked the way that I want to look, or if I weighed what I wanted to weigh, what does that allow me to do? What do I actually want to do with my body, right? So train for what your body can do instead of how you can look. What I've found over the years working with all of the people that I've worked with is, as we get them focused on what they want to be able to do with their body, they're much more likely to continue the process and to continue to build the habits to be able to experience. I mean, Jen was talking about the experiences, like that's what this is all about. This is about experiencing life to its fullest. This isn't about you being an ornament, standing in your bathing suit, looking a certain way. Who cares? This is about you being able to jump in the water and go, yeah, I want to go water skiing. Let's do it. So that's what this is about, is really, getting a motivating goal that really connects you to what do you want to do. Okay. So what I'm asking you guys, I want you to think about this right now. What do you want to be able to do with your incredible body? And I would love for you to share, if you're not shy and you want to share with us some of your goals. If not, no problem. You can go ahead and write it down for yourself, but I want you to really think about, like, what is it that I want to be able to do? Okay. So thank you, Dolce, for sharing. I want to finish a half marathon, brisk walking next spring, 2024. Fine. That's fantastic. That's awesome. What a goal. I currently swim 2,100 yards at least 3 times a week, typically 5 or 6 times. Great stuff. Sounds like you're actually setting yourself up to do a triathlon maybe. So just want to put that out there, plant that seed for you. If you can run a half marathon and swim, just got to get the bicycle out, and we can get you doing a triathlon. Anybody else want to share what you want to be able to do with your body? And it might be that you want to be able to keep up with your grandkids when you go on vacation, or you want to be able to, when you go to Europe, you want to be able to walk all over. I know whenever we go travel, it's like we end up 10,000 steps is like nothing, right? When you travel. So maybe that's, what you want to be able to do. So really, connecting, what is it I want to be able to do? Well, go ahead. I know you guys are writing these down. Maybe you're not sharing them with us, but you're writing them down. Now, as you're writing those down, I want you to think, okay, why? Why do I want to be able to do that? Why do I want to be able to finish a half marathon? What's the reason? Why do I want to cross that finish line? Why is that important to you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is that? Okay. This is really important to think about, because if it's not important enough, then you're not going to end up following through and doing the things you need to do to make it happen. So really thinking, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, am I really motivated to do this? And this is something I ask our clients when we sit down and they first get started with us. How motivated are you? How important is this to you? And if it's a 10, fantastic. You're going to do whatever it takes to cross that finish line, and it's going to happen. If it's a 5, then we need to ask ourselves, okay, what's going to get in our way? What's going to be the things that are going to get in our way? Because we need to go ahead and address that. And maybe we need to come up with a different goal that is more motivating for you to continue to, you'll stick to, because you want to make it happen. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to make it happen? So these are two different questions. One, how important is it? And two, how motivated are you? Okay. So I want you guys to just think about the goal you wrote down and then think, is it, am I a 10? If not, then, because this is the reason why sometimes people will start on a, maybe you start a diet or you start an exercise plan and then it fizzles. And it's because you never really did the work to think, why am I doing this? And is this important? And I'll tell you, again, it's not you. The reason you didn't stick to it wasn't you. It was because you didn't have an important enough why. It just didn't really matter that much. It just wasn't that important. And that's okay. And that's not, there's no judgments there. Like, and that's sometimes if a client, thinks, oh, I want to do this, and then they don't follow through on it. I'm like, it's okay. That just, you thought it was important, but it's actually not as important as you thought it was. Let's think about that. Let's look at that. Let's figure out, what is important to you so that we can really figure out what's going to motivate you and what's going to get you to that next level. So don't wait till Monday. Okay. It's Wednesday right now. So I don't want you guys to say, oh, I'll wait till Monday and do this. I'll write down my goals then and I'll think about it then. Let's get started today. So start taking action today. Okay. All right. Step 2, we're going to talk about what motivation type you are. Okay. Now this is from the book, The 4 Tendencies from Gretchen Rubin. And when I read this, I just thought it really helped me to start to think about, for our different clients, what motivated each of them. And so as you go through her, her different motivational styles, she talks about whether there's 4 different ones. So you're either an upholder, you're a questioner, you're an obliger, or you're a rebel. And we're going to quickly go through these just to start to think about, because this might be your answer of why you haven't been able to follow through in the past, is because maybe your motivation style was different than you thought. Okay, so an upholder wants to know what should be done, needs clear rules and structure. Upholders are like easy to coach because you basically say, do this, and they're like, fantastic, I'm doing it, and they follow it, and it's easy. It's like your friends that you see, you're like, how is this so easy for you? Why are you like, and usually like the type A, they just make it happen, right? They're competitive. This could be you. Okay, so you want to meet outer expectations. So you want, if I'm your coach and I want you to do a certain thing, you're going to try to do it, but you also want to meet your own inner expectations. So the only thing with this is just be careful of, you may have to let go of strict rules and times. Don't freak out, because, these are the kind of people that they get on a plan and it's like, well, no, I have to stick to my plan. Like, this is what I'm doing. I have to work out tomorrow morning. Like, and sometimes life doesn't always go that way. So if you find that this is the type of motivation type you are, just beware that, hey, life, you do have to add some flexibility into there, because if you are more flexible, you'll be more likely to continue on the path you want to follow. Okay. You also might be a questioner. I know I've worked with a lot of clients that are questioners, and they want the facts. They need justification for following the plan. And basically, if the plan makes sense, you'll follow it. But you first need to understand it. You aren't just going to blindly take, a plan and go, okay, I'm just going to follow this. You want to make sure that there's science behind it, that it's, there's results behind it, that I want to know, why are we doing this? Why, so making sure, so if this is you, know that, you probably are going to want to know a little more. You might want to read the book. You might want to, if you do hire a coach, you might want to, really be ready that you're going to be asking them a lot of questions. And so they, they better be ready to answer them. So just, don't be afraid to ask the questions, because that's what's going to help you to land on what you feel good about to be able to move forward on. Just be careful that you don't overanalyze. Okay. So as I'm going through these, if one of these sounds like you, I'd love you guys to jump in the Q&A and just say, that's me. I'm a questioner. I'm an upholder. Or the obliger. This is actually me. Okay. I'm an obliger. I like to keep people happy. I like, like everyone to be happy. Accountability for me is key. And so if this is you, if you're a people pleaser, you might be an obliger. Okay. Accountability is key to your success. You always want to meet others' expectations, and you're motivated. Like, if you're going to be meeting a group of your friends to work out, you're not going to miss it. Right. Like, but if it's just you going to work out by yourself, you might sleep in. Okay. And so if you know this about yourself, guess what? You need to find some people that are going to be there, and you need to set up that you're going to meet each other regularly so that you have that external accountability, just like me. Like, I need that external accountability. I like to do races, and I like to, you're doing a half marathon. I like to sign up for a race or something, because that's also a form of external accountability. If I'm going to register for a race, guess what? That forces me to make sure I'm going to be ready for that race. So, so you're really motivated by meeting outer expectations. you don't do things so much for inner expectations, which is interesting. So just kind of know that about yourself, that you actually will do more to really please someone else, right, than you necessarily will for yourself, which is why you need to be careful of burnout, because it's easy to be a yes person and yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. Yes. So if you find yourself kind of, always saying yes and always helping everybody else out or always being there for everybody else, you got to take care of you. Okay. This might be your motivation style, so know how to use it, but also be careful you don't burn out. And then last but not least, the rebel. And so if you're a rebel motivation type, this is somebody, and we have some of these clients at our gym as well, where we might, give them this plan that we know works. We've been doing this for 23 years. We've, followed all the science and we've, used it over and over again. And absolutely it does work. But no matter what, they want to be able to make their own decisions, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm the expert, it has to be their idea. And so if you find yourself, maybe like, like, oh, this plan works, but you're like I gotta make the decision. I have to be the one who calls the shots. Maybe you're a boss, you're like, boss lady or boss man, and you're like, I want to know. So for you, give yourself a few choices. And like, if I'm your coach, I'm going to give you a few choices and I'm going to let you choose, because I want you to make the choice. I want you to take ownership. And, I want to tell you, like telling a rebel that they can't do something, that will work as well. So if I tell you, I don't think you'd be able to do that, you're probably going to be like, oh yeah, look out, I'm going to make it happen. So if this sounds like you, and I don't see anybody telling me, oh, here we go. Let me scroll up. We got goals. I didn't see these goals. You guys here, this is awesome. Climb the stairs without huffing and puffing, no sore knees. I did one triathlon back in 2011. I'm a one and done girl. I finished, wasn't last, and that's good enough for me. Well, congratulations on that. I have diabetes and I'm 60 years old. I don't want to go blind and have limbs amputated. That's motivating right there. Like, yeah, like that's a strong why. Very important. Thank you for sharing that. Very important. Okay. So now as you guys are hearing, these, Evelyn just shared, that's me, I want choices. So Evelyn is a rebel. So we know that about her. Okay, so I'd love to see what you guys are, as you heard those different motivation styles. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actions you're doing now versus the actions you're moving towards. Okay, so this is where we really get into the nitty gritty of, looking at the habits that we currently are doing, and then what habits do we want to start to make a priority. So I want you to go ahead and make a list of what are you currently doing. Okay. Hopefully, maybe it's this stuff I've listed here, maybe not. Maybe you're eating more processed food. Maybe you're eating bigger portions. Maybe you're just eating mindlessly. Like we think of like with nutrition, a lot of times people are like, I want, this specific meal plan. And I'm like, well, let's just start to be conscious of what we're eating, right? Maybe you just haven't been thinking about it. So maybe you're just eating, you just whatever, like you get up and, whatever's in front of you, or maybe you don't eat all day and then all of a sudden you're starving. So then you're driving through somewhere on your way home from work. So maybe you're eating mindlessly, maybe poor sleep, no exercise. Maybe you're not eating enough whole foods. Maybe you're drinking too much alcohol, okay, or something else. Maybe there's other habits. What are your current habits? And maybe you have some good ones, but what are some of the current habits that you might be wanting to move away from, that right now are leading you down a path that you don't want to keep going on? If you continued doing these things, where would you be a year from now? Where would you be 3 years from now? Where would you be 5 years from now? I mean, Dolce talks about, I don't want to go blind and have limbs amputated. That's pretty extreme. And that's, okay, if I keep doing these things, I might end up having my limbs amputated. Like that's motivating, right? So go ahead and if you guys want to share in the Q&A, if there's, what are some of the things you're currently doing? Okay. What are some of your current habits that we want to start to move away from? And I'm the first motivation style. I can't remember the name. That was the upholder, which means that you're going to follow through and you're going to run that half marathon. So good. That makes it easy that you will do this. Okay. So now once we have this list of what we're currently doing, okay. Poor sleep, Mark says. So that's a big one. And we're going to talk about that. So as you now are realizing, okay, I really need to get my sleep figured out. I need to figure out how I can get a better night's sleep. Let's go ahead and draw an arrow over to what we want to change. So these are some of the things that I might want to start doing, right? I want to start eating slower. I want to have protein with each meal. I want to eat a vegetable at each meal. I want to make sleep a priority. Okay. Exercise consistently, eat more whole foods, eat fewer desserts and processed food, drink fewer caloric beverages. These all might be things we want to start to move towards. So you guys get the idea? What we're currently doing that's going to take us on a path we don't want to go on, and what we want to start doing so that we can start getting our elephant motivated to head on this path to make some changes. Okay. So hopefully you guys are getting a good list written down. This is just to give you guys some ideas. This is from a certification I took called Precision Nutrition. And, I think for a lot of clients, they think, oh, I want to be like ripped. I want to be 18% body fat. And so this just gives you some ideas of what it's going to take to get to where you want to be. And so this is, someone who is 20%, 30%, like I was talking about where I got up to. And you have, trade-offs, poor health, low energy. Well, over here on the right, you can see what their lifestyle is. So do more. They're eating a lot of processed foods, they're eating big portions, and they're eating quickly. Do less. Exercise of any kind, right? They're not really exercising. They're not eating whole foods at all, and they're not sleeping great. Okay. So if they wanted to go ahead and make some changes to the next step, it doesn't always have to be extreme, right? So maybe we're just going to make it to the next step. We look at over here on the right. So do more. We're going to eat slowly until satisfied. We're going to include 1 to 2 palms of protein. Okay. So just starting to increase our protein intake. We're going to start to increase our vegetable intake. We're going to start to exercise maybe 3 times a week to start. Okay. And maybe we're going to start to do less of fewer desserts. We don't have to eliminate desserts, but maybe we want to do less desserts, right? Less processed foods, less caloric beverages, if that's a routine for you right now. And so this is just to give you the idea that it doesn't have to be this drastic, go to the next level, because to get to the next level, this is what it's going to take. And for a lot of people, they might look at this list and go, oh my gosh, like there's no way I'm going to do all of that. Like eat slowly 95% of the time, eat protein, vegetables. A lot of this might be too big of a jump for you from where you are. Does that make sense? So let's go baby steps, right? And then if you decide you want to go to the point where, down here on the do less, where we're only going to eat dessert and processed food every 1 to 2 weeks. Okay. That might be too much for you. Or we're going to drink a caloric beverage every 1 to 2 weeks. Okay. For some people, that's like, they're like, nah, you know what? I want to have, a glass of wine every night. So I'm okay being at this level, which is healthy. Okay. You guys see, this is a healthy version of, this is healthy. You're in a healthy place. You don't have to always go to this extreme. Does that make sense? So just, giving you an idea of, don't think it has to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, on or off. Okay. So back to our list. Okay. So if we did have our list of, I want to start exercising consistently in the morning, if that was the thing that you decided, like we talked about, Mark said, poor sleep. So he decides sleep is going to be a priority for me. Okay. Dolce is going to eat less processed food. So that's their one habit. Go ahead and think through, with that habit, what would be the most likely reason you wouldn't follow through? So if someone says they're going to start to exercise in the morning, the most likely reason they're not going to follow through is probably going to be because they didn't get a good night's sleep, right? Or maybe they stayed up late watching Netflix, drinking wine, and snacking, right? So as soon as they start doing those things, they're pretty much guaranteeing themselves, I'm not going to do this habit, right? So instead of thinking of the habit of, I need to start exercising consistently in the morning, instead, they would start to think about these habits as being their priorities. Does that make sense? So it's really thinking through, if I really want to change this thing, let me back up and think about what I have to do in order to make sure that's successful, to make it a downhill path to make my goal happen. Okay. So, like the making sleep a priority, what would be some of the things we need to do? We need to set ourselves up so that maybe our day starts to wind down by 8 p.m. Maybe the kitchen closes at 8 p.m. again. Maybe we turn the TV off, by 9 p.m. Maybe, we're in bed, lights off, the room's dark, and we start to get our body into a routine. So what are some of the habits, specific habits, that are going to help you to make that a reality? Okay. And then, what happened there? think I jumped through something. Okay, number 4. I know I have a lot of stuff for you guys, and we're at 11:50, so I'm going to keep going because we got some of your questions. Please keep asking questions in the Q&A, and we're going to be wrapping this up here in the next 5 minutes. So number 4, talking about being a scientist. Okay, so getting really specific about, thinking about, instead of being emotional, being logical and thinking about the changes you want to make. Okay, so as we want to think about these changes we want to make, approach this journey with curiosity. I want you to be easy on yourselves. I don't want you to beat yourself up if you don't, follow through and, get a good night's sleep and you end up, not doing the habit you wanted to do. Instead of beating yourself up and, feeling guilty, like guilt is one of the worst feelings. Instead, be curious, like, that's interesting. I really thought this was important. I said I was a 10 out of 10. And I really thought that my why was something that was, would drive me to do this. But instead, I actually went ahead and made the choice that wasn't what is in line with that, right? So be curious with yourself, be curious with, ask yourself these questions and start to dig deeper of, maybe this isn't important to me. Why isn't this important to me? Like this, this needs to be important to me. How do I dig into that? And so then, the next time you have that same decision, hopefully now you've tapped into your why even more. And instead, right, of making the choice you made, hopefully we can head on the path we want to head on because you've really thought it through. And that's going to help you. We're all going to have moments of, where we veer off the path. Okay. And that's all I want you to think of it as. You're just veering off the path. Maybe a flat tire. I tell my clients, like, if you got one flat tire on your car, would you go around and blow all the other tires? No. But for some reason, we have one flat tire. Maybe we had one cheat meal that we feel guilty about. Then we're like, I'm just going to blow the whole weekend and I'll start on Monday. Right? Like, no, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Right? So no, fix the tire, get back on the road, and let's, get back on our journey of where we want to go. So just start to be curious with yourself about why you're doing the things that you're doing. It is a good idea to find a way to measure what you're doing. So I love this quote, what gets measured gets managed. I know you guys are all financial, that you guys measure stuff all the time. So maybe start to think about measuring, your sleep, right? How much sleep did I get? How much water did I get? How much protein did I get? How many vegetables did I get? Am I drinking too many alcoholic beverages? Like, where am I at? What am I measuring? Okay. You can also use something like MyFitnessPal. If you want to use a tool, it's a free app where you can track your food. You can see how many calories you're eating. Find a tool that you like, that you will use, that will help you to track the things that you want to make changes. Okay. Mark asks, is there a better time of the day to work out? I'm not a morning person. You know what, Mark? The best time of day to work out is the time you will do it. So whatever time you will work out. If mornings are not for you, that's totally fine. If I know we have quite a few afternoon, evening people that work out with us, but the key would be, maybe after work, put your clothes in your car, like just don't make it an option. I think it's a good idea to not go home, if you have a commute or if you're driving home from work, or if you are working from home, make sure your gym is set up and it just, it has to be where you don't have a decision to make. You have to just go. So that would be, definitely you can work out in the evening as well. The best time to work out is when you will actually do it and you'll be consistent and you'll get it done. So that's the best time. And then measure your progress. We talked about this. So the ability to, you can measure from an in-body, you could measure your ability to do something. So maybe you couldn't do, like push-ups or chin-up, like body weight exercises are a great measurement because you're really seeing your strength to weight ratio. So it's not just about how much you weigh, it's about how strong you're getting with, your body weight, right? So if you couldn't do a push-up before and now you can, that means that you have improved your strength to weight ratio. Your clothes, okay, maybe, like I said, the in-body measurement, these are all ways that we can start to measure and become a scientist. And if our measurements aren't changing, it doesn't mean I'm a failure and I might as well eat whatever I want and this isn't working anyway. No, this means, okay, whatever I'm doing equaled this result. I need to do something different to get a different result. That's all it means, right? It doesn't mean that, it just means that we got to take a look at what we're doing to make sure we're going to get the results that we're looking for. Okay. And last but not least, one of the most important, who you spend time with is who you become. This is our team at Results, some of our coaches and us all having a good time. This is really important, is making sure you do have a group of people that you do love to be around and that will help to support you on your journey. Now, I went crab hunting. It was actually up in Seattle. I know we have somebody here from Seattle. This was in Seattle, and I went out we go out in a boat and you put the traps down in the water, and then you bring the crabs back up and they're in the boat and you bring them back to the shore. And they're sitting on the shore, and we put them in this big open bucket. And if the person from Seattle is on here and if they know what I'm talking about, they can jump in and say, yep, I know what you're talking about. We put them in this big open bucket. We went and had dinner. We left them sitting in this big open bucket, and the crabs did not get out of the bucket. And the reason is, if a crab climbs out of the bucket, the other crabs will pull that crab back down into the bucket. And if the crab keeps trying to get out of the bucket, the other crabs will actually tear his legs off and make sure that he stays in the bucket. And so you don't have to actually put a lid on it, because the crabs actually keep each other in the bucket. Now, this is not unlike human nature. Sometimes when, someone is doing something good for themselves, they're trying to make changes, they're doing something that, might be hard, like change is hard, and someone else sees that you're trying to make a change, it can be easier for that person to pull you back down into the bucket than it is for them to let you have success and then be inspired and go, oh, gee, maybe I could actually make changes too, right? Mm-hmm. So just beware as you are making changes, and as you are, maybe saying, hey, I'm going to head to bed early, or I'm going to skip the drinks tonight, or I'm going to get up and go to the gym tomorrow. If you hear someone say, hey, don't do that, like that's no fun, or why not? Here, just stay up, let's do one more, let's hang out for a little longer, whatever it might be, realize it's not, it's because they're trying to pull you back down into the bucket. It's easier for them if we all stay in the bucket than if you climb out and get free, right? So it's just a way of thinking of, the next time someone does that, you're going to be like, all right, I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to pull me back down into the bucket. Okay. So it's just something for you guys to think about as you're looking for people that are supporting you. Look for the people that will help you to, find a way out of the bucket and help to support you in that. Okay. Just remember, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. One of my favorite quotes. And then I love this too from James Clear, which Atomic Habits is a great book on this topic. If you guys haven't heard of that book or seen that book, join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. So James Clear wrote that book, Atomic Habits. All right, here's your free gift. So if you guys go to results-fitness.com/gift, you can download, this is just to get ready to return to the gym again. It's just, it gives you 7 habits each day that you can follow to help you to get yourself ready to go. So go ahead and head over there. And then we have about 2 minutes, 3 minutes still to go. If you guys have any more questions for me, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And thank you guys so much for joining in. I really love that you guys were interacting with me throughout. Mark says, great job, Jen and Rachel. High five, Jen. So any other questions, everybody? I hope this gave you some ideas and some inspiration to start to make some changes.
Yeah, I also want to add too, Rachel, I want to also say that we're going to send you a gift too, a legacy journal too, so you can record and write down, your goals and track them and be able to have some kind of way to look back on it too. So I think that would go nicely with what you're teaching us.
Evelyn's asking, that's awesome. I love journals. Journals are, it's a great way to, and it's even a great way to check in with yourself when you're doing being curious about why did I do that? Let me explore this a little bit. Evelyn asked for some healthy snacks on the go that don't need to stay cold. I would encourage you, if you are on the go, don't be afraid to pack a little ice chest. You can always have like a little to-go ice chest where you can throw some string cheese in it, some yogurt, some, different things, maybe some leftover. So don't be afraid to pack something cold, but if you are stuck where you don't have anything cold, I always keep some almonds in my purse, like a snack pack of almonds. There's some healthy protein bars, like the RX bars I like. So just look at the ingredients of the different protein bars. But if you need to grab a bar, it's processed food, but there are some that are less processed than others. So if you're on the go and you need that, and then, of course, like an apple or banana, So yeah, if, it depends. I know sometimes if your day is go, 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 we've had a lot of people that have clients that have been nurses or teachers. And so their day they're working and they have to almost have stuff in their pockets to like, take a quick snack break. So definitely it's finding what works for you, and figuring that out.
Yeah, agree.
Connie says, great job. Give us realistic to-dos. Well, good. And Dolce says, well done. I enjoyed this very much. I love gifts. Well, enjoy. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope to continue to connect with you on, social media. And thank you for having me, Jen and Legacy. I really appreciate you having me on here.
No, thank you, Rachel. It's been great. You've provided a lot of great, things for us to think about. And I think our clients have enjoyed it very much. I know I have. So.
Well, good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll go ahead and end. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, you can always send an email to us and we can reach out. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.